So this is not, you know, if you didn't like the pandemic that was just 1% lethal, this thing they're working on in December 2019 has an 80% lethality. It needs to be stopped.
Welcome back to Unfiltered. It's a shocking claim you may have missed. If you thought COVID was bad, just wait. There's apparently more lethal viruses in the pipeline. Joining me now to make sense of it all is Dr. Stephen Quay. Doctor, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Glad to be here, Dan.
So, Doctor, you had done some work on the Wuhan lab and you had discovered some evidence of Nipah virus. Can you explain to our audience what that is, why finding remnants or sequences of that in the lab matters, and what kind of virus this is in what was in the Wuhan lab?
Sure. So just the Twitter version of the Nipah virus, it starts in bats, and then they eat fruit, typically a guava fruit or something, and then they sort of go to the bathroom on the ground, and then the pigs will eat the dropped fruit as well. And then if we eat the pigs or come in contact with the pigs, we can get the virus. It does go in through the lungs like SARS-CoV-2, but it has a special predilection for the brain. So encephalitis is a very early symptom from it. And as you said, it ranges between 50 and 80% lethal. So what we did was when patients were sampled in December at a hospital in Wuhan, samples sent to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, they were put on a special sequencing machine. That's American technology, actually, that made that sequencing machine. It generates copies of everything in the sample, but it's so sensitive, it generates copies of everything in the laboratory. So we actually found 20 different things that shouldn't have been in the patient. We found honeysuckle genes, okay, the plant. And so what I did was I looked at research publications from the Wuhan Institute of Virology over the last 2 years. I was able to identify 18 out of 20 samples associated with prior publications. The two I couldn't was a deadly influenza virus and the Nipah virus. And we found about a third of the virus in a vector, as it's called, which is a tool that scientists use in the laboratory to make large copies of something as if they're going to make a vaccine or to make something else. And this is pretty unmistakable. I mean, this is a smoking gun for the Nipah virus. This is what you'd expect to have seen, say, 2 years ago for SARS-CoV-2.
So doctor, I mean, obviously it must concern you that this lab has a history of safety violations, especially given now we're relatively sure that the coronavirus, COVID-19, leaked from there, that they're working on a virus with an 80, and I want to be clear, 80 up to 80%, not 80% lethality rate. So were they possibly working on making this virus more powerful? And, is this the kind of lab that has the security profile to even handle something like this, even if they were working on gain of function?
Yeah, so let's be clear. There are labs all over the world working on these kinds of viruses at these levels of lethality. There's kind of 3 levels of laboratory, what's called BLSA-2, which is sort of a dental office, BLSA-3, which is a little upgrade, and then BLSA-4, which is the space suits with the oxygen in the ceiling. So Nipah is supposed to be worked on BLSA-4. We found it in a building in Wuhan that only has a 2 or a 3 rating. So they're clearly kind of over the edge, if I could call it that, in terms of the kind of thing they're doing and the kind of laboratory security, biosecurity that they have.
Yeah, this is frightening stuff. Dr. Stephen Quay, thanks a lot for taking the time. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.